is Jenny Lauren Dowden for Conduit News, and today we have attorney Chris Corbitt joining us. He's a fifth-generation Arkansan, and today he is announcing that he is joining the primary race. He will be running in the state Senate race for District 35. Hi, Chris. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on. I am a fifth-generation Arkansan. And when I say that, we had a brief discussion before on air about being from Pine Bluff. My granddaddy Rhodes had a house on Cherry Street in Pine Bluff, Arkansas, and he got his, it was a graduate degree from U of A in farming back in the 1900s, in the mid 1920s, 1915, somewhere around there. And then from there, my grandmother Helen McGee, she married a good old boy from Malvern, Arkansas, that went on to West Point named Dale McGee. And my grandmother McGee is currently still alive. She's 100 years old.
Wow.
And yeah, and she's got her chemistry degree from the University of Arkansas in 1942. So that was the second generation. And then, of course, the third was my mother and my father both went to U of A, and then I followed U of A. And then the fifth generation at U of A would be my daughter. She's currently an architectural student at the University of Arkansas. So born and raised and educated in Arkansas. Thanks for having me on.
I love that. And we did talk briefly before we began this, and we realized we had a lot of connections there.
Yes. Yes.
Well, listen, tell us about why you are jumping in the primaries and decided to join the Senate race.
Yeah, so that's a good question. So it's always been in the back of my mind that I've wanted to run for political office. And what happened about 2 or 3 years ago, I started litigating some more public interest cases. And I was stunned by this deep, what I call this deep administrative state, and this growth of government. I'm talking from the state government, the county government, city government. And I stepped back and I started looking at some of these things, saying, look at this ordinance that's been passed. You literally, in the city of North Little Rock, the ordinance as it reads, you have to have a permit to install a light bulb. And I brought these little items to the attention of city council, of county quorum members, and I literally laughed at. I thought, what are you laughing at? This is serious. These are hold up. Let me look at this. Wait, you're taxed when you wake up out of the bed, right? You're taxed when you turn your water on. You're taxed when you pick up your toothbrush. Everything you touch literally has the government has reached in and controlling you through the money they're taking out of your wallet. And I slowed down. I said, hold up. I've got a little time here to look at some of these things. And clients started calling me. I started having some success with cities writing me checks for legal fees in some of my lawsuits. And then I started to slow down and think about a little more. Wait a minute, where's this money coming from? Every time I sue the city and they got to pay for something they've done wrong, that's actually my money. That's right. Our money. And so it started probably getting serious about 2-3 years ago. And in 2018, we my family moved from Little Rock to Conway. And it just so happens that this seat came open. The Senate, Jason Rapert is the current sitting senator. He's going to run for lieutenant governor. I started making some phone calls and seeing if that seat's going to be open. And sure enough, he announced for lieutenant governor he's not rerunning. I called the current sitting state representative, Spencer Hawks, watched his race in 2016 and 2018. And I've been watching some of his votes. And now he's stepped up and wants to go from the state house to the state senate. So he's going to be my opponent in the state senate race here in Conway. And I welcome it. So he's got a voting record that is not so conservative when you look at it. So that's what's got me started in it. And being with my background actually started in engineering. So I've got a bachelor's and a master's in civil engineering. I followed my father through engineering school at University of Arkansas, and then went for some more punishment over there at the law school. And so they filleted my brain open and opened my eyes to this gray area, right? Engineers are all black and white. It's either, the numbers, the math doesn't lie. And then when I went to law school, it was like, whoa, it's a little more gray. Everything's a little more gray. So that's my motivations. And looking at taxes, this administrative state, some of these flip floppers and these votes that are being controlled by the Superintendent's Association, the Sheriff's Association, the Municipal League, County Association, all these people that are taking state money, they're lobbying our legislators on state time. It's like outrageous to me. I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on here? So that's my motivation. So I hope to take my background in engineering and the law and take it from the judicial branch to the legislative branch. And if we find some laws in the legislative branch, and I'm doing right now, I'm going to take it, I'm going to fight it in the judicial branch because I'm a litigator and I love being in the courtroom and making arguments. And so now I'm going to take those skills and try to get elected to the legislature. So that's the goal. And I hope that wasn't too long of an explanation, but that's where we're at. That's where I'm at.
No, that's wonderful. Well, you briefly mentioned about your opponent's record. Let's talk about what recently happened at the state capitol.
Yeah.
We saw several things happen regarding the vaccine mandate whenever the legislators reconvened. Just first, give me your overall impression with how with what you saw happen.
Yeah, so that's interesting. I've got some time with Dave Ellsworth on the radio show 101.1 The Answer, and I've discussed these vaccines, the vaccine mandates. I'll just tell you my personal view on vaccines is I've got a microbiology degree. I've worked as a microbiologist. I've also got a chemistry degree. I was a chemist for a while. And that background, I encourage people to get the vaccines. And the difference, though, is when the government tells you to do it, there's the rub. That is not what we need going on. The vaccine, the government trying to mandate vaccines, and then private corporations coming in and lobbying and getting the governor to mandate that you're either going to have your job or get the vaccine, or in order to keep your job, you got to get the vaccine. It's just outrageous. And so if you step back, you go, and I put a lot of thought into this. This goes back to a political class I took in 1998. I'm going to find the professor. She was interesting and said that the legislators will be making their votes on three things: constituents, your people you're representing, your colleagues, and your conscience. Real easy, 3 C's. And I'd like to add to that: is it giving the government more power?
Yes.
Yes or no? If it's giving the government more power, it's a no. No brainer. No. Then the next one is it taking away a personal freedom? Do I have to go get a permit? Literally, the way the law is, do I have to get a permit to put a light bulb in? Heck no. Right? Do I have to am I going to have a vaccine mandate? Am I going to have a vaccine card I'm going to carry around or post on my chest that says I have the vaccine? Heck no. Can't do that. And so it's interesting that some of these legislators I see, they're not coming out and telling you what they think. They're not coming out and telling you what they say. What they're saying, they're not doing. And so it's wild to me. And if we slow down and we think about the republic that's been set up, everything that was not delegated to the federal government is reserved for the state. I don't see anywhere in the Constitution where it said we gave the federal government the power to mandate vaccines. Where did that happen? That didn't happen. Right. And so the states got together with a little bit of history here. The states got together and they created the federal government, right? Mm-hmm. So with that history in mind, no. So our legislators getting together and passing a law about vaccines is the way to go. And if you don't like it, vote your legislator out, right? So you've got a choice in that. Does that make sense?
100%. And I think that will resonate with a lot of people. Yeah. So with the bills that we saw, in the past session, we saw these are the two bills that went to the governor's desk, and of course he did not sign.
Right.
And I think that we can all come to a conclusion on why he did not. He's just letting them go into effect. But we had Representative Bryant's House Bill 1977, and then basically an identical bill, Senate Bill 739. Those provide employee exemptions from the federal mandate. Your opponent, Hawks, now he did vote yes on those, but what struck me was that on Senator Ballinger's bill, which was Senate Bill 731, which was it was a good bill. Conduit supported that bill. It was essentially a don't ask, don't tell bill, and he was a no vote. Now, for those of our viewers who are not familiar, Conduit considers a no vote a no vote,
right?
Meaning we count those in opposition.
Right.
So what is your take on that?
You know, that's interesting. So there's several, when you were talking, there were several points that went through my brain. And so one, the governor not signing the bill, just letting it go into effect. What a weak way to talk about a bill or take action on a bill. Well, if you don't like it, then say no, then veto it and let the legislature override it. So what? If they do, they do. If they don't, they don't. You know, either veto it or sign it. No, I mean, why just let it go into effect like that? So he's saying, is that a middle ground? No, it's not a middle ground. It's a yes vote, but he's not going to have his name on it, right? So let's take that little action. Let's take it to what you just talked about, a legislator. And there's some nuances there that I'm unaware of or how it works. But you're right. Conduit News is right. A non-vote is a no vote, right? Because did they get up and leave the chamber? Were they absent? Like if a no vote, in my mind, a no vote is you showed up, you're doing your job, and you voted no, or you voted yes. But if you just walk out and you don't vote, then you're not doing your job. Or if you don't show up and you don't vote, well, you're not doing your job. A no vote simply, for y'all to treat it like a vote for no, it's absolutely correct. That's essentially a weak way of being able to straddle the fence. What an old friend of mine would say, talking with a forked tongue. He said, well, I didn't support it because I didn't vote yes, but then I didn't vote. Come on. I've seen that behavior in Spencer Hawks before. He flip-flopped. He's a flip-flopper. He flip-flopped on the ban, on the fines that were issued, the mask fines that were issued to restaurants. There was $60,000. I'm actually representing one of the restaurants in Pine Bluff, and they were fined $60,000. The legislature, when they finally got called back to the session, said, let's return these fines. My opponent voted yes, and the governor vetoed it. And then when it came back to override it, my opponent was a no vote. Not a no vote, I mean a non-vote. So what happened there? Somebody called him and said, hey, or the governor called him and said, hey, don't override my veto. And so that in my mind is watching that action is more that you can see what's going on in their mind. It's not just lip service, right? And the don't ask, don't tell on the vaccines. Why not? If you think about that, are you going to ask me about whether or not I had a prostate exam? No, right? I was supposed to get one of those at 40. By the way, I did. So, and I've been vaccinated. I support the vaccines.
Right.
But it's interesting when you think about that. If I go back to what I said, the 3 C's, is it giving the government more power, or is it taking power away from the government, or giving power to the citizens? That's simple. The don't ask, don't tell on a vaccine, that's a yes vote. It gives power to the citizen. It's simple. This is real simple.
It is. Well, for those of our viewers who are not familiar with our scorecard, we actually go through and rank every representative, every senator, and looking at your opponent's ranking. So we break it down regarding economic freedom and social freedom. And so on the economic scorecard, so number 1 is, man, you have knocked it out of the park. You stand with economic freedom. 100 indicates the lowest score. Hawks ranked number 41 on our list, and he only voted with Conduit 76% of the time on our economic scorecard. And on our social scorecard, he ranked number 48 and voted with us 79% of the time. And of course, this reminds me of what President Ronald Reagan said. He said, the person that agrees with you 80% of the time is a friend and ally, not a 20% traitor. And of course, in this political climate, when things matter so much right now, we need legislators, we need our leaders to stand with us 80% of the time and more.
Right.
We can't have anything less. What are your thoughts?
Man, I love the scorecard. And because what the scorecard does, it allows you to differentiate between lip service and their actions.
That's right.
You can see them saying something, but what are they actually doing? And it's interesting, he didn't meet that threshold. In my mind, it's simple. He's I like the term, the rhino term, right? Republican in name only, RINO. Well, if you're going to be conservative, then why are you voting to give the government more power? Why are you voting to take away economic freedoms? It's pretty simple. I stand for the Republican platform. In simple terms, I'm for legal immigration. I'm for gun rights. I'm for strong borders. I'm pro-life. These things are so simple in my mind, but I guess they get confused. Maybe they get confused when they get to the legislature and get phone calls from some of these associations. And for example, go ahead.
Well, I think you're right. And I think, I think that they get caught up with the state agencies, the lobbyists, I think that what we saw recently at the Capitol, big corporations, right?
I was there at the hearing. Yeah, where Tyson kept talking about this is team. This is the team. We're going to mandate everybody get the vaccine for the team. I'm thinking, what team are you on?
Right, exactly. One of your top issues is economic freedom. And of course, if you are familiar with Conduit, that is that is one of our main stances, what we are very passionate about, because if you don't have economic freedom, you don't have political freedom, you don't have social freedom. You can talk about that all day long, but if the government has your money, they have all the power and you do not have any power. Tell us why that is so important to you.
It's so important to me. I moved out of Little Rock. I moved from Little Rock to Conway. One of my main reasons was occupational licenses. And the city of Conway is doing something right. I don't have to have a business license here to have my engineering company. I don't have to have a business license to have my law firm in Conway. In Little Rock and other parts of the state, there are these crazy little occupational licenses, and it's a tax. And we saw that when it was crazy when I think they did something on hairdressers, and they had to have this training. Well, I want people to know that I grew up laying block and brick. My family makes concrete block at ABC Block Company. My dad was a mason. I'm not talking about the guys with the little funny hats and the three-wheelers that rode around in circles on Olive Street down there in Pine Bluff. These masons have 4-foot sticks they call levels, and they got Popeye forearms, right? Because they're out there working hard. I've got a CDL license, and I also am a master plumber. And I say those things, and people go, "How is a licensed attorney and engineer have these credentials?" And one of the reasons is I was beat up by some of the cities. Well, where's your license? Where's your permit? So I said, okay, I'll go get that. And some of that on some level that is okay to protect the public. They always couch it in safety reasons. Oh, we're doing it for the safety. But it's gotten way out of hand. I mean, way out of hand with these codes, occupational licenses, which all impacts your economic freedoms. I've got young people calling me, "Chris, I want to start a business, but I don't want to get in trouble." I'm like, what? What licenses do I have to? What do I have to do so that I'm not in trouble with the city or the county or the state government? It's outrageous to me that these young people, being 50 years old now, and watching these 22-year-olds and 23-year-olds wanting to start a company, and they come to me and they go, "What license do I have to have?" And I just, you know what? When a client calls me, I tell them, "I'll tell you what, the first thing you need to go do is you need to go make some money." And then when you go make some money, you got in-house counsel now. I'm going to set you up, and you go out there, get you a truck and a trailer, go mow that lawn, start doing some landscaping. Don't worry about a license. Call me. And that's the kind of spirit, the American spirit, that I want to foster in some of these young kids, this next generation, along with legal representation, because that's what they need. And so many times when people call me about a situation, I say, look, I'll write a letter for you. I'll show up at city council. I'll show up at quorum court. But to really make a difference, we have to file a lawsuit. And they get scared. Oh, wait a minute. I don't want to. Well, I can't do that. I can't. Well, why not? I mean, this is your political freedom we're talking about. This is your economic freedom. And they're worried that the city's going to come down on them. They're worried about some retaliation. Let me tell you, I was there. I've been there. And that's why I'm a plaintiff in several lawsuits. I said, you know what? This is wrong. I'm going to be the plaintiff, and we're going to take this to the judicial branch, and we're going to fight. And so then I've gotten to the judicial branch, and I got a lot of these liberal judges out there. That's outrageous to me. I'm sitting there going, what just happened? And so here's what happens. When you see a 10-page or a 20-page opinion, when a judge needs 30 pages, 50 pages to explain the law, they're trying to make the law say something that it simply doesn't say. It's hard to do.
I've seen one of those recently.
Exactly. Man. And so this economic interest, these things that it takes me back to, are you giving the government more power? Are you taking power away? Are you giving the citizen more power, or are you taking power away from the people? And it's just that simple. And so if I get elected and I'm asking for people's votes, I'm going to reduce taxes. I'm going to defend your right to bear arms. I'm going to get in there, and we're going to, you know what, immigration, I want legal immigration. Something we hadn't talked about is education. I was on the charter ESTEM school down there. I was a school board member of the charter ESTEM. School choice is a big deal to me. Yeah. We moved from Little Rock to Conway. I moved with my children too. So it was a big deal. Moving out, I felt oppressed in Little Rock. I really did. And I come up here to Conway, no business licenses. It's just fantastic. And it's more, you feel freer. And that's the way we want the citizens to be able to feel. And then you'd be able to call their legislators and say, hey, this is wrong. Can you do something about it? And that's what I'm going to be doing.
Well, how can people get involved in your campaign? What should they do?
So I've got a website up. I'm running for state senate. It's Jason Rapert's seat that he's left and not rerunning for. It's Corbitt for Arkansas. They can go to that website and they can click, I want to help. And when the little blurb comes up, and I'll get your email address, I'll get your contact. The people are going to have my cell phone number. They're going to have my email address, and I'm going to be available. I'm going to start knocking on doors. The primaries, I believe, is going to be in May of next year. So I've got some time to do it. My opponent has announced. It's interesting why he's trying to go from the House to the Senate. We're going to have some more. We're going to have some more contenders. There may be several people running for his House seat if he stays in the Senate race. He's a current House member, and he's moving to the Senate. It's interesting. He's announced for Senate, but I'm going to be there, and I'm going to be his opponent. And we're going to talk about his record, and to get involved in my campaign, I love the input. It's CorbittForArkansas.com. And FOR, not with the number 4, but CorbittForArkansas.com.
Yep. We'll put it at the bottom so people can see it. Well, listen, thank you so much for joining us on Conduit, and we hope to have you back here again soon.
Right. I want to talk to you some more about Pine Bluff.
All right, we'll do it. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Sam.